So is political reconciliation even a possibility in Egypt? Joining me now with their insights on all of this, Dr. Nabil Mikhail, a professor of political science at the George Washington University and a supporter of Egypt's interim government. And from Minnesota, we are joined by Dr. Abdul Dardery, the foreign affairs spokesperson of Egypt's Freedom and Justice Party and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Why don't we start there? And Abdul, I'll start with you. Is political reconciliation even an option in Egypt at this stage, would you say?
Of course, it will always remain an option, but for the EU to be able to help in the reconciliation, it needs not only to condemn the violence, but it has to condemn the root of the violence, which is the coup. If the coup is not condemned, the violence will go on. This is a military government, does not care about human rights or the rule of law. This is the military government that deposed the president and canceled the elected parliament. If the European Union is really interested in democracy in Egypt, really has to condemn the coup and has to encourage all the political parties. This is a political problem. It has to be solved politically.
I do want to draw Nabil in here and get his thoughts on this political reconciliation. Is there a chance of that, given what's happened in the last week or so?
There will be a process of political reconciliation, but it will be a process, so it will take some time. But also it will be under the conditions of the interim government, meaning they will not bring the Muslim Brothers to the picture. And as far as the Islamicists, which is a bracket bigger than the size of the Ikhwan Muslimin, they basically will talk to them. Like, for instance, the Salafi party in Noor said, we object to the removal of one item or clause in the constitution that could deny Egypt's Islamic identity. But this is part of the dialogue, and I mean, they are not going to change it because the reply will be, we also care about the rule of religion, we also respect Islam, and we are going to proceed with writing a new constitution.
Well, let me stop you there and talk about the military action. Was this really needed to safeguard security in Egypt? And Abdul, I suspect your answer is going to be no, but I want to ask you first, and then I want to get Nabil's thoughts on that.
The peaceful protesters, they were peacefully protesting there for days, for 40 days or so. Peaceful protesters, and until today, in spite of 5,000 people got killed. Can you imagine the Egyptian military and the Egyptian police burn the dead bodies of Egyptians so that they don't know the crimes they committed? Sir, this is a crime against humanity. This government is a terrorist government, and it has to be brought to justice. The blood of Egyptians will not go away. And all those political scientists or otherwise support the coup will be held responsible, and blood will be on their hands. That's a crime against humanity. And I call upon the civilized world, the EU, the United Nations, the United States, China, all countries in the world to support democracy in Egypt. It is the only way to get away from destabilizing the country that is likely to destabilize the whole area in the Middle East.
What about this military crackdown? Was it really this needed?
It was actually told and foreordained, and there was enough warning. And there were actually many outlets that the police created in order to let the demonstrations go. And that was shown on many TV screens. But when I read the story in the New York Times, they said that they did not allow people to exit. That was not true. So you have to be very careful with the accuracy of reporting. And I had an interview with an Egyptian journalist just prior to the assault, and they said that the Egyptians are fed up. So you would not really tolerate that situation for any more. A decisive decision had to be made.
Well, Abdul, let me bring you in here too, because this is a criticism that I've heard from others, that the Muslim Brotherhood really wasn't that interested in governing. They were more interested in their own philosophy and generating that. And really the economy was in shambles. In terms of government, it was not handled well. And that there are factions within Egypt that were fed up.
Sir, these are all lies. The fact that some do not like President Morsi, they have all the right to protest against President Morsi, and in a coming election, they have the right to remove the Freedom and Justice Party or even President Morsi in a democracy. President Morsi or the Freedom and Justice Party did not come to government by the tank. They came to the government by the vote. of the people, not once, twice, 3 times, but 5 times in the past 2 years. All those who talk, because this is what they think, and I respect their way of thinking, but the only way to know this is through the ballot box.
Nabil, let me give you a chance to jump in here and give me your thoughts. You know, the sense is perhaps that maybe the military too rash, too powerful, too entrenched. Your thoughts?
This is true, but also you have to reflect upon these facts against the backdrop of what transpired inside Egypt over the past 2 years. Actually, Morsi did not win. The 2012 presidential election was falsified because they put false ballots, and this is a well-known story. They disqualified many ballots, especially in Upper Egypt. The Muslim Brothers, typical of their behavior, intimidated many voters. They cut electricity on many villages. And I mean, I will recall something that President Sadat used to say. I will just utter it in Arabic. أنا عارف الإخوان. I know the Muslim Brothers. They do not say the truth. I can tell you just one simple example, and that's regrettable that it has not been reported in any American media outlet. The Egyptian authorities just confiscated a ship carrying small weapons and gun machines that sailed from Turkey. And that confiscation happened at Alexandria Airport. These weapons were sent so the Muslim Brothers could take them, receive them, and start violence. 20,000 pieces of weapons. Is this a peaceful organization?
I'll let you answer that question before we proceed. Is it a peaceful organization?
Yeah, it is a peaceful organization, whether you lie about it or not. If President Sadat knows about the Muslim Brotherhood, the people of Egypt know more about the Muslim Brotherhood. We went to 5 elections in the past year.
But the question is, will they pick up arms, do you think, if this continues?
Impossible. We're committed to peacefulness. We made it very clear that we're committed to peacefulness. But it is not going to be the Muslim Brotherhood. People of Egypt are fed up with the killings, with the imprisoning. Imagine they're imprisoning political people for their political ideas. If this continues, I don't expect that people will accept this attitude, this criminal attitude of the coup government, or the criminal attitude of the corrupt elements in the police and the military. People as human beings, Americans told the world, give me liberty or give me death. And that applies to all human beings. If you try to imprison Egyptians for no reason other than their political perspectives, you're committing a crime against them. Will the Egyptian respond violently? It's going to be considered counter-violence. But we, as members of the Muslim Brotherhood, are committed to peacefulness. Our fight is a political fight.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on The Heat.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me.